Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Pipe Bomb Sessions, baby. We are gonna see the aftermath and the fallout of the Vision and what happened to the visionary himself last week. I did touch base that hey, I heard rumors that Rollins was going to be going into surgery. I heard things that Rollins was going to be a little bit banged up and hurt coming out of that match with Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. And long and behold, unfortunately, all those things were true, ladies and gentlemen. This week on Raw, we did see. Well, we didn't see the Visionary. However, we did see his group, The Vision, who turned their back on Rollins last week. We basically saw them, talk their smack. Adam Pearce comes out. He forces them to vacate the title. Simple and straightforward as that, ladies and gentlemen. I think that was very easy plan, and then they announce a battle royal for later in the evening to determine who's gonna face CM Punk as Saturday night's main event. Yes, I believe that is going to be a marquee matchup, as it is anyways. As I predicted last week, why not just do what's in front of your faces already? That hey, you got LA Knight right there. You got CM Punk available right there, obviously. CM Punk and LA Knight have been going at it for, I would say, quite a few, even like months on the low key, where they're just getting in each other's way on because they're both going after Rollins at the end of the day, right? So yes, that's happened a few times. I also do think just the mere and simple fact that we just I just don't understand what WWE is trying to do here. You had a prime and easy opportunity to take advantage and just fully go with the LA Knight versus CM Punk matchup, right? However, you guys choose to do what instead? You choose to make it Jey Uso versus CM Punk as Saturday night's main event. I hope to God, some way or another, LA Knight gets himself into this match to make it a triple threat at the very least. I don't see that happening, unfortunately. I do think they're going to go with Jey Uso versus Punk one on one. I can see Uso trying to influence his brother to come out and assist him. Probably goes array and wrong in that sense. And long and behold, Jimmy is going to cost Jay possibly, and that's going to kickstart their rivalry against each other with kind of the roles reversed in a sense, right? Now, something that doesn't make sense to me is just the fact that you had all these people available to you, yet you were still choosing with uh, going with Jey Uso. I don't understand. There has to be more opportunity given. We have to expand some of these other guys who are kind of just hot rivals. I understand why you didn't let Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker compete in the Battle Royal for the number one contendership. Yes, does it make sense to me? Absolutely. Are you gonna give one of them the title? Yeah, probably Braun Breaker eventually, but it ain't gonna happen right now. It ain't gonna happen today. So, does it make sense that hey, those two guys, both these guys, ain't gonna make the cut? Hell yeah, that makes sense. At least in my opinion. Like, we're not really missing something there. However, I am missing the point where, okay, what are we doing with this Jay versus Jimmy rivalry? Unless it's leading up to Jimmy possibly capturing the title from his brother. But again, you put the Usos together. It seems like just to make them break apart. I don't really understand that fully, I think, right now. But let's see how it goes, right? I mean, I think there is some twists and turns that are left to be said. I also do think that WWE might possibly just be testing the waters in the sense that they're like, hey, we can book this matchup, see how the crowd reacts, see how the internet reacts, and then possibly do something different next week. I mean, granted, they still have technically a week. They have one more Raw before that Saturday night's main event does happen. So it's not like it's totally out of the books and totally out of the numbers that this is the shoe in. However, it does look like a lock that, at least from my point of view, from where I'm sitting and looking at this, it looks like Mr. Yeet has a good chance of becoming champion again. Or this is a time where finally we get CM Punk walking out with the title and maybe possibly having a small little reign through it too. I'm not opposed to it against it whatsoever, right? Hey, I think that's a major injury that really shook things up. Just want to touch base on another major injury that, in my opinion, we broke news on last week. Really unsure on what's going to happen with his future and what's going on. Heard he just had a dental procedure, and that's why he missed the matchup against Drew McIntyre last week. And the man I'm talking about is the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, ladies and gentlemen. That man was out for a little bit, returned against Drew McIntyre in what we thought was going to be an exciting and full-blown crazy feud, just for a rumor to go around that apparently he had a non-wrestling injury where he's going to be out for quite some time. Just from what I saw on SmackDown, I would say, yes, he is still going to be out, in my opinion. However, I'm not too sure if he's going to be out as long as I initially perceived it to be. I don't know. I feel like possibly Fatu may only be out maybe a handful of weeks slash like maybe a month. I heard that he will or could miss to War Games Survivor Series. Not totally sure on that part. We did see the Cody versus Drew McIntyre random pop-up matchup where, hey, I've been seeing weird things happen in WWE. I really was convinced for a second that Drew may actually win the damn title off Cody that night, just because Cody over here is wrestling him in a freaking suit, basically, man. Like, what the hell is going on? Usually matchups like that are randomly put together and, like, thrown out there. Usually those matchups do backfire. So, hey, technically Drew won because of a DQ situation. That's what's lining up Drew for, hey, a rematch. I assume rematch can have a Saturday night's main event. And if they wanted to, they could pull the trigger. However, with Rollins' injury now, I'm going to say this right from the get-go, that we are most likely full steam ahead. We're going to run it back. What I said months ago, rumors are Cody versus Roman 3. I know we may not be the most excited about it, but hey, we're going back to Vegas. Another marquee big matchup is needed. I just feel like that's the matchup that WWE has lined up, especially because Rollins is now out. I think that is a big deciding factor that's going to lean one way versus the other. Let's definitely wait and see how. Basically, I think right now WWE is fully focused on John Cena, how to kind of end out his tour for the year, and that's going to be how it's going to go moving forward, right? Speaking of John Cena, real quick, I would definitely love to see John Cena capture the IC title from Dirty Dom to become the Grand Slam champion. From there, Cena can, lose the title to his final opponent, lose the title to someone else, but whatever the situation may be, I think the move to make is definitely making Cena the Grand Slam champion before he does officially and indeed fly off into the sunset, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think that's a bad thing whatsoever. That's a good call to make. Another good and a little bit crazy call to make, which I didn't see coming, I'll be honest, was the Judgment Day finally losing their tag titles. My goodness, these guys are just holding the titles hostage at this point, guys. Like, shit, what are we doing? Thank God a team like Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, a very random put together team, but hey, they ended up winning the tag titles. I'm cool with this. I have no problem with this situation. I actually thought them winning the tag titles meant that Balor may have a shot at winning the Battle Royal later in the night, but I just don't understand. I don't think Balor's gonna get another shot at this title, nor does it seem like Triple H wants to give him a shot. Who knows? I feel like he should get one, like, legit, actual run with the title, but unsure if that's ever going to happen. for Balor. Good luck to him. Hopefully it does happen to him sooner rather than later is what I could say, right? Just uh, another guy who didn't win the IC title. However, he returned and returned to an ovation, man. Last week we saw, or yeah, I believe it was last week still, we did see the return of my boy Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown during Sammy's Ice Open US Challenge. And I was nonetheless super excited for it because hey, I don't personally think that Shinsuke was ever a bad wrestler. I just think that his character was kind of ruined and washed up because he's never been that heel guy. You get what I mean? He's always been Shinsuke Nakamura, the king of strong style, and also the face that everybody loves at the end of the day. But that's why he got that massive pop when he had the OG music of his return. And speaking of another guy who had a massive pop, that's the new US champion, Ilya Dragunov. Yes, guys, that's who became the new champ. And honestly, I am I am quite excited. Rumors are backstage that Sami Zayn was the guy to say like, "Hey, why don't we give Ilya the title and kind of let him run the SmackDown with my US title. I've been doing this open challenge for quite a few weeks. Let him possibly continue this. Let's see where he goes. Welcome back, Mr. Dragunov. I like that. Been waiting for this man, honestly speaking. Don't know where he was, but hey, it's better to see him back than not see him at all. That's just my opinion. Um, man, I think they still need to do this shuffling around on Raw and SmackDown. I've been saying it for months at this point. Unsure what their exact plan is with it. I I'm sure that the shuffling is now needed more than ever because simple enough, they've had so many injuries on just both sides, and you can clearly see there's help needed on both sides. So like I'm not sure. Maybe they're waiting until December, January time where they're looking to shuffle it up. Maybe they just don't care and they'll just shuffle it up willingly. I think, yes, let's just do something to shuffle things up and make it where, like, okay, cool, we see evened out stuff. And I do want to see what's the whole dynamic again to what I first touched base on. That's Jey Uso winning and getting another shot at the world title when you had a guy whose birthday it was on Saturday night's main event with LA Knight. Yeah. And still, we are not giving him the world title shot. No. I don't like that at all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for this week. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys next week.